Not only are we back to code some of your weird Roblox ideas, but we're also back to this specific world that we were working on last time. Now, the reason behind this is because the next idea is actually very closely related to the previous one. So let's get started. So this guy wants me to re-anchor parts whenever you press Y. And that is actually pretty simple. So all we're gonna have to do is add a category named unanchored parts. Now we're gonna get a little bit creative here. We're gonna contain not only the part itself, but also its original color. By doing this, I can apply a color to the part that is specific for unanchored parts that will just kind of make everything look a little bit more visual when you run around the house. Just like that, we're saving the data on what the part is currently looking like. Now we need to change its visual data. So first we're gonna say part.color, and we're immediately gonna just say, well, I'm first gonna do this, right? Put this down a little bit. I'm gonna make a color3.new, and then we're gonna find a very nice, very vibrant purple color. This is gonna show us which part is actually, unanchored. Awesome, would you look at that? Look, they're already falling apart. Isn't that just nice? Now comes the fun part. We're gonna take this entire thing, and we're gonna put it inside of its own scope. And it's simple from there, really. We're gonna have to rename the debounce to make sure there's no confusion here. And just like so, it's done. On the server, of course. Now, we're still gonna need this part right here. Come on, copy it. There we go. But instead of target parts, we're gonna have to switch it over to using unanchored parts. Whoops, forgot something. This needs to be an array of items. There you go. And once again, we're inserting the item into the target parts. Now we also need to apply the effects, of course. So the part.color will have to be, actually, no, not actually, this is not a base part. This is not a base part. It needs to be part data dot part, like so. And part data dot part color equals part data dot color, like so. Now this should technically work on the server. Now we just need to hook up the client. Now, of course, we can still just reuse this entire thing. We can pull out this thing right here that checks for the key code. We can remove that. And then we can just say if the key code is equal to W, then we can fire the server. So that way we're using the same event to determine two different outcomes. And just like that. But then again, this is just whatever other input other than W, right? So else if input.key, well, hold on, let me do that. And there you go. That should, in theory, work just fine, but we'll see. Oh no, it broke. Don't tell me I forgot to re-anchor them, right? I anchored them, right? I didn't anchor them. There we go. Okay, yeah, no, that's definitely anchored, but it has some velocity to it that basically just makes it impossible to stand on. All right, one down. Next. If you tap on an NPC, you will fall off the base plate. Okay, we'll try that. So of course we could just do the simple one where it would teleport you from here to right over here, and then you would immediately start falling. Or we could do the interesting one where it just flings you into infinity and beyond, which is probably what we're doing. And this can be done entirely on the client. Pressing E on the keyboard will immediately fling you, let's say a few thousand blocks in one direction. Let's make that happen. First we need the player, which is required up here, and then we need the character, which is required right here. So what we need to do here is we need to check if the character exists. If the character does indeed exist, we will go and get the humanoid root part. We'll set the simply linear velocity to vector3.new, and then we will just do math.random and get a, I don't know, minus 5,000 5,000 as the limit. We will reduce it significantly for the y-axis so that we can still, you know, see land when we get flung in God knows which direction. Right, let's try that out. Oh, and there you go. Off the base plate. Goodbye. Let's try that again for anyone who didn't see that. Boing. Now, if we want to make that even more interesting, we're also going to go and get the humanoid. And right before we set the simply linear velocity, we're going to make him sit. Now, another thing we can do is we can find a negative number at all times on the y-axis that will maybe make him bounce a little bit more. Nope, not nearly enough. Let's put another 0 on that. And there you go. Reducing those numbers, and now you kind of go spinning all over the place. Enjoy. Bye.